I want to do a lot of that.
Yeah. Welcome back to JML Recording. I'm Joshua Lutz. I'm here with the one and only Ben Kane from Electric Garden Recording Studios. We're here in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. I want to thank you for letting us in the building, into your lovely home. Why don't we start off talking about the history of this place? You opened 7 years ago. Take it from there.
Well, this was a bean sprout factory originally. This room we're in right now is where they were growing bean sprouts. I'm told it holds the distinction of being the first above ground bean sprout factory in New York.
That can't possibly be true.
I don't know why. That was the history of the place. We even have the water tank, and now that's our reverb tank, our echo chamber. We basically came into the building. It was a kind of dilapidated mess at that time. Yeah. Some things were as they are now, in the sense that up there, our live room was offices for the bean sprout company, I guess. And
but it was
so
dual level.
There were
like
two
this.
levels like this for whatever reason, and we kind of used what was here to our advantage. But
it's very conducive to the recording studio vibe with the Abbey Road stairs into the into the control room instead of the live room. It's vice versa. Yeah,
it's a little bit different thing, which hasn't happened in too many other places where the control room sits lower than the live room. The only other one I know like that is the pit, where Sly and the Family Stone recorded, where they had the mixing board sunk into the room. So that was part of the thinking. But
Ben has a very interesting past. He's won a couple Grammys. He was Russell Elevado's, how would you say?
I was his assistant engineer at first, and then...
Was he your kind of, did he show you the ropes?
You
were his protege,
yeah,
I would say.
He definitely became my mentor.
Yeah.
At some point, keep working with him on the D'Angelo project, which, spanned over a decade.
Yeah,
so
the
roles of what we were doing expanded from, the assistant to eventually engineering. Definitely.
He basically learned to play guitar during that time and turned into like a sick guitar player. And he couldn't even play at the beginning of that record, right? Well,
he could a little bit, but he got a lot better over the course.
I got to meet D'Angelo. I was like GA, and for a few days, and I got to hang out with him. He was like super nice.
Yeah,
he was nice to me.
Yeah,
which I know
I could see him liking you.
That was a ton of fun. And Russell Elevado I saw here at your studio opening party about 5 years ago. And do you still keep up with him? Or?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great friend of mine. I've spent maybe the most time in one room, like of anyone with Russ, like just on the D'Angelo project and all the years of assisting, like the number of hours in one room together.
There's a great picture of you if you just type in Ben Kane on Google. It's Questlove with Al Green, and you're just in the background, just kind of smiling.
I'm actually at the mixing board.
That's right.
Yeah,
you were like, next to them, but further from the camera.
Right.
And I remember
a little further away than Al Green.
Helping set up Questlove's drums and just being enamored. We were up in Studio C at Electric Lady, and it was just such a vibey session. Talk about vibey session. Yeah. Al Green comes in with like a white suit, and like everyone, it was, bold. It really knocked me over at the time as a young GA of the studio.
Yeah, Russ resided in that room and brought that project in.
How did you get into audio engineering as a kid, and then with Russ? How did that even happen?
I got, a 4-track as a birthday present. I was just writing songs and wanted...
Like a Tascam 424?
Yeah, exactly. I think that was the model. I don't know.
It was either the Fostex or the Tascam.
No, it was definitely
Everyone
the Tascam.
Watching this probably had one of those two. Leave it in the comments below.
And at some point I upgraded to, by the time I was in high school, I had a little computer, Macintosh, that had a zip drive in it. That
pre-iOmega.
It had an iOmega zip drive built in. That was really top of the line. Yeah. I had a little digital mixing thing from Roland that would give me my inputs. I'd record my bands. It was always to be able to get a recording of whatever project I was working on.
And you were in the bands, or you were always?
I was in the bands. Yeah,
of course. That's always the story of the engineer.
Yeah, playing keys and singing occasionally, barely, but whatever. It seemed like a fine thing to go to school for, so I went to NYU as a music technology major. I was working at Bowery Ballroom as a stagehand. And one night I was walking home from there. I was around a lot of ambitious people, so I was like, I need to make my next moves in the back of my head. But I was walking home from Bowery Ballroom and had a couple post-show drinks, whatever. And walking down Spring Street, I see Questlove actually with, a handful of beautiful women, like kind of models around him. And I was like, oh, well, here's my chance. I'm going to ask him to be his intern. So I walked up to him.
Good for you.
Excuse me. It's like, hey, I love the music you make. Can I be like your intern?
And he said, okay.
Well, he said, I'm on tour right now. Like, thank you. I think he also, like, I made him look really, like, especially cool in front of this little circles. Like, kids are coming out of the woodworks to want to work with him. He said, I'm on tour right now, but I'll connect you to Mary at Electric Lady.
Oh, Mary Campbell,
who was the
OG
manager there for a while.
That's right.
And he went on a ledge and, made a call for some person he had only met once on the street. Connected me, and, now I'm here at the studio at times mixing songs for the Roots. And so it's really
That's a testament to who Questlove is.
Totally.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this beautiful space. Yeah. I would be remiss if I didn't mention this gorgeous console. Last time I was here, he had an AWS SSL.
Yeah.
So this, you have stepped up your game.
Yeah, it's a DUALITY, which we got and installed during the pandemic, actually. 48 gorgeous. Channels. We refurbished it.
Did you use SSL here in the city to refurbish it, or a tech?
We used Ricky J. Began, Tech to the Stars. Who's also, was he there at all during your time?
I recognize the name, but okay. I never met him.
Ricky was chief tech at Electric Lady when I was an intern there, has helped us with wiring this studio.
Okay, my other big question for you was, what's on your master bus at any given time? Do you leave anything on there constantly that you're obsessed with?
The bus compressor of the SSL. But this one has a ratio of 1.5, which some of the earlier ones start at 2. Cool. So it could be really kind of minimal and gentle. Depending on the project, I have a box of transformers, switchable transformers over here. It's like a custom box made by my friends at Iron Age, which is a great company, and they made me this transformer box. So sometimes I just, I could have the sound of a Spectrasonics console.
So cool. Yeah. I'm so glad you brought this up, because I'm actually doing another video on these external transformer boxes.
Oh yeah.
The WEP 11C from Western Electric, super popular. Obviously just throwing a couple triads in a box. Yeah. Not only does it give you the sound of the transformer, but it quiets your signal. Sometimes it can raise the headroom, lower the noise floor. It's really magic, and rarely do you hear engineers talk about that, so that's really cool that you have this.
The Shadow Hills stuff has 3 selectable transformers.
Steel, what's the other one?
And the nickel, which is like their kind of combo one. And I was using that a lot, and I wanted crazier transformers, really. With
I wanted more.
Different, each transformer kind of has a different arc of EQ that it does, and how it saturates the different frequencies, and sometimes, it's just missing some indefinable aspect, limiting various limiters on my mix bus, because I mix at the level that I want, that I think the master is going to be.
That was another question I had for you. Do you pay attention to LUFS and making sure your Pro Tools levels? Do you go in and reset it to -18, and do you just kind of turn on Pro Tools, get good levels, go where the gear's happy at -18 and just run? Or
it does depend on the project.
Stage? Yeah.
For projects that are going to care about how loud it is, like ultimately, some artists who are just like, I want it, make it as dynamic as you want. I only care about the artistry. Yeah. I'm not in competition with anything else.
Screw the loudness war. We want a quality.
That one I can just be in my own head and not reference anything. Most other projects, there is a reference of like, I want it to be competitive, commercially competitive. Sure. So then I am trying to get to a certain.
Do you use like a durometer, or do you have one of those clarities, or are you looking at phase correlation on a meter of some kind? How do you meter all that?
Well, I'll look at LUFS with the simple plugin like the WLM meter, and I don't have to get exactly to where it needs to be, but if I'm more than a few dB off then of like where I think it will need to be competitively, then I'm leaving my dynamics of my project in the mastering engineer's hands.
I was going to say, yeah.
They don't have the ability to apply a limiter while turning up the kick drum. You know, their kind of hands are tied at that point.
What advice do you have for up-and-coming engineers who are working with mastering engineers? Because you've probably gotten a lot of feedback from mastering engineers on your mixes. What advice do you have?
I work with a couple great mastering engineers.
Shout them out. Who's great?
Will Quinnell and Alex DeTurk. I've worked with them so much. They both know that I've spent a lot of time on the mixes and bringing out the aesthetic that I want. That's not true of all young mix engineers who are sending something off to mastering, but I've gotten to the point in my own process that I'm very attached to the dynamics, the general dynamics, like that I'm presenting in the mix. Often I'm trying to do something different and unique. Having people that know that when they get something from me to listen to it and take some time with it and respect like the choices that have been made is a great thing. So for young people, I'd say, you know, when you find someone, maybe try to get a relationship going where you can build something together, because eventually how you're mixing might change to accommodate how the mastering engineer is working, or, you know, really you're working together, and they can completely screw up your whole mix vibe if they are interpreting it differently. So finding someone you can get on the same page with and is interested in having a relationship artistically with you is important. Great
advice. Can I also ask you about the ALTEC 436Cs?
Yeah.
I see them everywhere. I'm obsessed with them. Maybe we could talk about why is the audio community enamored with them, outside of the whole Abbey Roads RS-124 conversion. When I first came here, you had them like in this coveted, it was like you had all this gear and then you had the 436s on a little table here. I see they've moved into this special
Well, they
rack.
still have their special rack.
What modifications are done? Do these have the Abbey Roads conversion?
These do have a conversion done by Matt Wells.
Wells.
Yeah, it adds an attack setting and an output. I use them a lot. I think this is another transformer thing, frankly. Where the color of the unit has such a vibe to it that the way it compresses is also really nice for certain inputs, but it has a really pleasant EQ curve to it.
Do you use them often? Or?
Yeah, I use it every mix.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
Very cool.
You have 7 of them or something.
I use them on everything. I have 7 right now.
Yeah. So.
I saw on Russ's YouTube channel, his header is just a picture of a 436.
There you go.
I mean, and everywhere I go, they're like off to the side in a special place. And I just feel like so connected to this piece of gear, which I haven't gotten to the bottom of yet, but it is a very special piece of equipment. And I talked to the owner of, he makes the BG2, which is a clone of the 436.
Yeah, Highland Dynamics.
I talked to him ad nauseum about these 436s, and he I don't know if I should say this on camera, but he admitted to me he loves what he's doing, but he says even mine can't touch the real thing. And he makes like a cool third panel that makes them super fast, which is not what they're known for. They're very slow, and yeah, I mean he's the man.
Yeah, we have his BG2 downstairs.
Do you? How do you like it in comparison?
It's a different beast because it's like,
how so?
I believe it's the front end of a 436 and the output side is more like a Gates. Cool for different purposes and the same purpose. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I like his stuff.
How long did it take to build too, by the way?
It took almost 2 years. I guess I started the process saying, I called up my friend Missy, she used to be like a mural artist and a painter, and she had just gotten out of architecture school. So it's like, she's perfect for helping with this kind of thing. I was like, Missy, I'm considering like signing a lease for a studio. I just want to make every part of it cool. Like, are you into this? And I think I said something to her like, I don't know, if the Dalai Lama was gonna like get in a spaceship to go like to meet on a planet like with Funkadelic, and like it was like a spaceship, but like they needed plants in there. They wanted it to feel like Earth too, like, you know, can we do something like that? She's like, yeah, I think we could do something like that. So yeah, you know, I found people who were not scared off by my absurd concept of what a studio could be. And even Zach, the acoustician, really is one of the few people who could have advised us and worked with us in this way, where he really has a concept that, like, just because 99% of studios think you have to have this type of diffusive wall in the back, there's no reason you have to use the same materials anywhere. You can get to the same, a great sounding outcome in thousands of different ways. And he's he's into some pretty far out acoustical research and stuff like that, which he spends a lot of time doing, but he was really game to entertain, like, how do we, you know, work with this space to make it sound great in ways that no one's ever done, like with materials that no one's ever done. Like, you know, the diffusion in our live room is tree bark, and so cool. Like actual tree bark. I don't know that
Where do you buy sheets of flat tree bark?
Some people that use it, it's used for like roof thatching a lot, and there's a company in, I believe it's North Carolina, that processes the trees. If you're using it as a thatched roof, you want like really thin bark with not too deep ridges. We wanted the opposite, like the deepest possible ridges, so they had a good amount of that stuff, like just enough for us actually, from like multiple years, that no one else wanted, because it's like too deep to do a roof off of, or whatever the call outs. Yeah.
Here, before I leave, hold on. I didn't realize.
I didn't realize cross branding.
Yeah, I didn't realize that this was also going to be some shameless self promotion. I just finished 2-year construction of a studio, so I want to thank you for letting me in here. Ben Kane, Electric Garden. So, can we talk to some of your staff? Who are we going to be talking to?
I think Abby's down in B. Maybe you can.
Let's go down to Studio B and check it out.